Welcome back, and we continue pace with the conversations we have in store for you this Monday morning. Now, Kenya banned single-use plastics in the year 2020. This is just 3 years later after it banned the use of plastic bags. Where are we as a country as it pertains to the use of these items, knowing fully well that we still have them within our disposal? This is the conversation we're about to have on set this morning, ban of single-use plastics, with my guest, Fredrick Njau, who is a program coordinator, sustainable development at Henrich and Bol Stifter, Nairobi. Karibu sana to the program.
Thank you very much, Doreen.
All right, now before we go to the progress or where we are as a country, let's first start by understanding what exactly we mean when we say single-use plastics and plastic bags. Because as I mentioned, one was banned in 2017, the other one was banned in 5th June 2020. Now one may wonder, if all these are plastics, then why did the state ban them in 2 different times?
The thing is, the single-use plastic, those plastic that you get when you do your shopping, and then you throw them away. You don't use them again, and that's what the government banned in 2017 under the leadership of NEMA, and by then Professor Wahungu, who spearheaded that process. Actually, there's no big difference. The bags that you see around, sometimes they are there because they are used in packaging of food stuff and other issues. But what is not banned yet is what's already you're buying in the shops, already packaging your product. But what is banned is a single-use plastic that you used to get, and then your shopping is put in them, and then you will go out and throw them away.
All right. So then single-use plastics, are they like the plastic bottles?
No.
They are not those ones?
No. Plastic bottles are what you call PET. It's a big name, basically. And there are different categories of plastic, if you want. And basically, plastic are differentiated by the kind of polymers that are used to make them, including additives that they put in them. And that's why they come in different shapes. So the bottles, they're different. And why the plastic sometimes is very challenging, especially to recycle, is because of how they are made. And what the campaigners are asking for is for now the government to go the next step to ban more categories of plastic, because right now we went until the basic level of banning the single-use plastic, but we want us to go a higher level and then ban other categories of plastic, like straws. We don't need straws, maybe. We could look for plastic cups that you buy when you buy your coffee. Those kind of things are easy to ban also. And also the Ministry of the Kenya Wildlife Service has already banned the use of plastic bottles in the park. Those kind of things is what we need moving forward.
All right. Now, from just the park, you inform my second question, whereby when you talk about the single-use plastics, I understand that when it was banned in 5th of June 2020, that was only banned in protected areas. Yeah. So why, even as you talk to us about what exactly we mean by protected areas, maybe you can also help us understand why then it was only banned in specific areas, because protected areas looks like it's only specific areas.
Yeah, and also it's good also to let Kenyans know and clarify things. There was one ban in 2017 that was guided by law. Of course, there were various protests from the different manufacturers of plastic, and that ban is what we call the single-use plastic carrier bags. That was what was banned in 2017. Yes, but the Kenya Wildlife Service, through the mandate that they do have, they extended the ban in the protected areas, and what they did in their ban meant that you cannot go into those park like, for example, Karura or in a Mount Kenya National Park with a plastic bottle. It's illegal. So to go into national parks with plastic bottles or any plastic of any nature.
Which now falls under what you're talking about?
Yes.
All right.
So, but the Kenyan government has not banned plastic bottles.
Altogether.
They have not banned plastic bottles. What is banned currently is single-use plastic carrier bags. That's what's banned currently. Yeah.
Now, I really want you to tell us why it's only protected areas, because at the end of the day, we're saying that we want to eradicate this. And even as you continue this conversation, we'll be trying to understand the effects, not just on environment, but also on our health. Then again, why ban it only in protected areas? Why don't ban it altogether?
I think it was a bold step from Kenya Wildlife Service in terms of these are tourism sites. In most protected areas, mostly they are tourist sites that need to be in a very beautiful nature, if you want. That's one. Of course, if you see plastic is an eyesore to anyone in terms of how the waste, people have this tendency of throwing bottles everywhere. So in terms of protecting these sites for tourism, that was the one reason. Second reason, of course, it's for the health of the animals itself. And there were stories or research done or coverage also in the media whereby animals were feeding on these plastic bags in some cases, and for the health of the animal as well in the national park, that was the other reason. Of course, other agencies can decide to ban plastic in their own localities or in their own where they live, including here we are, KBC. If KBC was to say you cannot enter here with a plastic bottle, that's everyone is bound to adhere to such a rule, and that's what KWS did through the mandate that they do have. Okay,
now we'll try and understand much better, even as talk about the animal and the animal consuming plastic, plastic and the ripple effect it has to our health. But let's just backtrack a bit and help me understand, also our viewers to understand. Because right now, the UN estimates that by 2050, that should be in the next 28 years, there'll be more plastic than fish in our oceans, which makes me not be able to reconcile that fact with the fact that right now, as we see, countries, particularly in the African continent, are really trying to ban this plastics. We saw that in Rwanda, Tunisia, Senegal. They are doing that, and even us as a country have done that in 2017, then fast forward in 2020. So then again, how do you reconcile that statistic with what countries are trying to do in effect to ban these plastics?
Actually, if you look at the statistics that are available. Unfortunately, in Kenya, sometimes we lack those numbers. But if you look globally, since plastic was invented way back in 1907 there, over 400 million plastic have been produced. And it is also estimated, or research shows, that it takes over 400 years for plastic to biodegrade. So that means all that 400 million tons of plastic is with us. It has not gone anywhere.
Regardless of the bans?
Regardless of the ban, because it's somewhere, seated somewhere, whether in a landfill somewhere, waste dump site somewhere. It's seated because it doesn't biodegrade as easily as I would expect. So that's why then the research that have been shown, including one done by the Kenya Marine and Fisheries Research Institute, our own here in Kenya, with this plastic, what it happens is it disintegrates into small particles, what they call microplastic, small ones, which sometime, and that's why the research is saying that we'll have more plastic in the ocean than fish, because all of it end up in the ocean as microplastics, and what the effect of that is, it goes into fish, and the fish end up on our table. So at the end of the day, by that time you're mentioning 2050, God forbid, we're having a lot of microplastic in our body. But that's the nature of plastic in itself. In terms of, it doesn't go anywhere easily. It stays with us, not like the way you would you'd make paper from paper, because paper would biodegrade, but plastic doesn't go anywhere at all. If at all, 400 years, I don't know if it will still be around.
Oh my God. I think now it's clearer, because you can really be trying to understand, okay, countries are banning plastics, and you're also trying to ensure that we do that completely all together, not just a specific set of plastics, but them all together. But then one would try and question, if that is the case, then why are we talking about this kind of statistics? But again, I think that is clearer enough. Now, Heinrich and Bol Stifter.
Yes.
This is an NGO with footprints in over 30 countries.
Yes.
What is the aim of this NGO, and what exactly does it deal with?
Heinrich Bol Foundation, or Stiftung, as you say, we are a German foundation, political foundation, of course affiliated to the Green Party in Germany. But our advocacy is around three major issues: gender, democracy, and also where I sit, sustainable development, looking areas to do with extractive oil and gas issues, energy politics, and also plastic campaign, which we are only starting this year. And also we have what we call civic dialogue, basically around issues around human rights issues, and also missing voices, those kind of issues. So we like to place ourselves in terms of the politics of resources, in most cases, to try and advocate for policies that are very responsive to human, to gender, those kind of things. That's what we do.
All right, so you clearly deal with an array of issues.
Yes, we do.
And plastics just has begun this year.
Plastic, not this year in our office here in Nairobi.
Or in Nairobi.
But this is a campaign that we started many years back in our headquarters in Berlin, through a movement we call Break Free from Plastic. And this movement advocates for what we call global End Plastic Pollution Treaty.
All right.
So, and in the early this year, if you recall, there was a meeting here in Nairobi called UNEA. UNEA decided that now because of these problem that we are facing of plastic, the world needs to come together and have a treaty in place, like other treaties that have been signed, to kind of show the way how to end plastic pollution. And this treaty is expected to be in place, but the timeline is until 2024. That is when it should be in place. And what we are urging currently is to urge Kenya to be at the forefront of advocating for this treaty. Kenya already has shown the way. It's being cited all over the world as very progressive as far as banning single-use plastic carrier bags. So now Kenya can also be the leader in this, in terms of saying, okay, we need this treaty in place to end plastic pollution. And it's good also to mention that plastic is not what we see on our table. In the plastic, we need to sort it from where it comes from its source. And the issue of plastic needs to be sorted from the production stage. And that's the only way you can minimize the amount of plastic. By that I mean, plastic comes from fossil fuels, or oil, or those kind of things. And you can only end plastic menace by minimizing extraction of fossil fuel.
From the source itself.
From the source itself.
All right, so then what are you doing as an organization, particularly when it comes to sensitization on end-of-use plastics and end-of-use of single plastics?
Yeah, currently we are having different facets of approach. Where one is developing materials, materials that people can use to be aware about the plastic. We have this feature that we call Plastic Atlas. Plastic Atlas basically collates all the information about plastic in terms of figures and data to show whether what you ask about health, it tells you how the effect of plastic on health, effect of plastic on gender, effect, on marine, those kind of. So that Plastic Atlas helps in that. Another angle that we are using is through communication. In terms of trying to create awareness by having dialogues within the general public, and the third way is that we are bringing stakeholders together through a coalition that we call Stop Plastic Coalition, bring them together so that now they can have a voice in terms of advocating. They can sit on the table during the negotiation of this treaty. And like I mentioned, globally also we are members of a Break Free from Plastic movement that was very much at the center of advocating for this treaty that I'm talking about.
All right, well said. Now, even as you perhaps go about your campaigns, even communications, you know, to speak just of the different things that you're doing in your capacity as an organization to ensure that there's end of this plastics altogether. In your own analysis, do you feel there's really enough knowledge out there on the hazardous effects of this plastics? Why I say that is because time and again we keep saying this is the negative effect of this to our environment, to our health, but you still see people use them nonetheless. There's still like it actually looks like there's quite a missing link in respect to that. It's a multiple of things. One thing for sure, plastic has been a solution to so many of our problems. If you look at it, so this is also why.
Yes.
Okay.
Because if you look at it, the simplest way to package your product is using plastic. Is the cheapest. If you are to package your product using a paper, that would be very expensive, and that's people come from that angle. It's cheaper to use plastic, in the position that we are in. Materials from plastic are very, very, very cheap, and that's why it was seen as a solution those years back, even from the people who invented it. Secondly, it's about because you asked about whether people are aware, is that you don't see the effect of plastic like the way you'd get a disease. It's something that would only affect you maybe over a period of time. You can only relate that to, for example, to diseases like cancer and others once they happen. So is that people, without telling people the effects of this, especially in for example in food packaging, which is the most the highest consumer of plastic, and people still continue to use plastic in to heat their food, those kind of thing, and the chemicals will also affect their body. So you can only increase the awareness as times move by, because people, of course, they leave plastic in the most careless way.
Okay, so that we can safely say, Fredrick, that the problem is not that people really don't quite understand the effects. It's only that the effects are long term, so people don't see the need to stop using it now. Then does that pose as a missing link? Because we'll keep talking about conversion on end plastic. I mean, for instance, even when we talk about plastic bags, just as an example, it was banned in 2017. But I can tell you for sure, you go to the estates, you'll still see them, particularly from the small and medium scale, traders. They'll still be using it, and one wouldn't see a problem with that. NEMA did their part. If you look at it, and again, I continue giving credit to Professor Wahungu for showing leadership in that, banning single-use plastic. But we must also remember we are dealing with citizens, of course, that don't have enough awareness. I think that's a gap that we are trying to fill, and also where NEMA would require a lot of help in terms of creating awareness. Secondly, is that plastic is not banned, for example, in our neighboring country, Uganda and Tanzania. It's banned in that also poses a challenge.
The borders are porous. If you look at it, if you do a simple analysis in the market, you ask where are you getting this plastic. Of course, they are coming from Tanzania or Uganda. So that's a challenge that's faced. The borders are still porous. Plastic still comes in, and you still find, but it's not as high as you used to see. Long time ago, if you used to drive around Naivasha, Nakuru to Naivasha, you would see plastic everywhere on the trees. Nowadays, you don't see that. So I would say there are still those teething problems. NEMA still has a challenge in terms of enforcing that law, because they don't have the capacity to police everyone. So it's a challenge in terms of enforcement and in terms of awareness that need to be created, that people need to support this ban in its totality.
All right. So before we come to the health bit, in essence, then when you track the progress, where would you say we are? Are we good enough? Are we there yet? Because we can't stop to clap for for the state or even for NEMA for what they've done so far, and even KWS when it comes to single-use plastics. But again, also we cannot shy away from the fact that we still have missing link, gaps and challenges posed in it.
We still have a long way to go. Like I said, we are still sitting with over 400 million tons.
We still have a long way to go.
Still have a
We're
long
not
way
there
to go.
yet.
Yeah, for us to reduce the use of plastic. In Kenya, for example, what NEMA can do and what we are urging NEMA to do, and I know they have capability to do that, no matter the opposition, is to expand the ban. It's good to ban the single-use plastic carrier bag, but there are the products, there are things they can ban. And they give an example, for example, the use of straws. Why are you still using plastic straws in hotels? Why are you still using plastic cups why are you still using plastic plates in events and all these kind of things? There are still ban that can be. There are still avenues whereby they can expand. Mega produce whatever extractors of fossil fuel, and that's where the problem is. So then that's why the global treaty is important.
So it means that it's actually a long chain, begins from the top, and that's why we need to actually start targeting the issue from the top.
Yes, from the top. Yes.
All right, now let's explore the health bit just a short while, because when we talk about plastics, it eludes people's mind to just think that this could have an implication or an impact to my health. Someone may think, I'm just using this straw, as you mentioned, I'm just using this plastic soda bottle, then I'll just throw it in the ocean, throw it somewhere in the river. So what does that go to do with my health? Where's the link between plastics and our health?
There's a very big link. Of course, starting from if you consume it, that's one of it. By mistake, you consume it, then it will also it will affect your body in terms of digestion and all these kind of things. It has a correlation to rise of cancer. Cancer, like I mentioned, most of it find itself in our body through, like I said, microplastic. Once it disintegrates into small particles, it finds its way through fish. Fish, of course, they eat that, and then we end up consuming that, and that has an effect in our body. The other health implication, of course, is on women. If you want to, there's a big implication as far as use of tampons that the women use because they're made from plastic, and they release a chemical called endocrine something, and that affects also they may have an implication over a long period of time. So if you look at it, plastic has major impact. Like I said, most of our food in market, if you go, is packaged in plastic. And people sometimes they do use microwave, and they do heat their food using plastic. You don't check whether that's microwave friendly or not, and that again also may end up affecting your body in a serious way.
Wow, that was new. I didn't even quite know that actually the use of tampons could have a long-term effect.
Yeah.
Wow. Class 101. All right, now let's talk about banning of this plastics, because we can talk about ending them, but one may ask, for those that are, for them that it's still within their disposal, that which is the best way to dispose them? Because you're saying we can't just throw them anywhere. We can't throw them in the ocean, as you said. We can't throw them in the forest. These are actually the protected areas where it's banned. So someone may say then banning is a good option, but then we understand that also is not a good option.
You ask a good question, because there's no solution to right now to dispose of plastic. There isn't. People might lie to you. There isn't any way to dispose it off, because like I said, it takes that many years to decompose or to disintegrate, to biodegrade. people have always given, I usually call it forced solution, forced solution recycling. People say, hey, let's produce plastic, we can still recycle it. But you're not taking it anywhere, you're just changing the form. Another thing to note about recycling is that out of what I mentioned, 400 million tons of plastic that have been produced since its invention, only less than 10% has been recycled. Less than 10% that has been now recycled. So there's continuous production of plastic, but it's not going anywhere. So I can't tell you there is a solution. Banning it is not a solution, because the moment you ban, of course, you know what happens to the climate. It reduces carbon, and then it affects our ozone and greenhouse gases, and all this climate change again.
And the ripple effect is your health.
Yes, and is your health. So people tend to see those as two solutions, recycling and banning it. Of course, when you ban it, you are releasing those chemicals again back into the environment. So what we see as a solution is to either minimize the production of plastic, look for alternatives. That's one. Secondly is for scientists to find for a way there whereby they will make plastic that is biodegradable.
So what I'm getting from is that there's no solution.
There is a solution.
The solution is just stop producing it.
Yes.
But don't tell us we can ban it or dispose it in a good way.
No.
There's nothing like that.
No, it's not going anywhere soon.
All right. So finally, as we wind down this conversation, Fredrick, what would be a call to action to stakeholders, to Kenyans, to you and I, to the community at large? Let people make that conscious decision as a consumer. Of course, producers tend to lay all the blame on the consumer. It's you who is disposing plastic very poorly. If you are able to sort out your waste, then things will be easier to handle. Always there's that. Of course, there's a responsibility for us as consumers to handle plastic in a proper way, dispose it off properly. But the call for me would be to the producers of plastic. I think they should minimize the amount of plastic they're producing, and if they can't reduce it, the better. Lastly is to, of course, support the global treaty. I think this is the best thing that can ever happen. Let's have this global treaty that will now bring the change in terms of how we relate with plastic. Well said, Fredrick, and thank you so much for your time and at least expounding it for us. I have been speaking to Fredrick Njau, who's the Program Coordinator, Sustainable Development at Heinrich and Bol Stiftag, Nairobi, obviously talking to us about the ban of single-use plastic. A good place to end our conversation, and ultimately, good morning, Kenya. I'm Doreen Okello on behalf of the entire team. Asante sana. We do this again tomorrow. Have a beautiful morning.
Thank you.